Hello, everyone. I was running earlier on, so the reason why I was running, by the way, and thank you all of you for joining me on the launch of my book. So, sorry, I just need to calm down for a minute. The reason why I am excited is because I just got a knock on the door, and it was the mailman, and I've been waiting quite a while for this, and that's actually the topic of today's launch, which is ta-da-da, my books have arrived, and it just arrived like 5 minutes ago. Can you believe that? 5 minutes ago. So I'm just gonna, people do unboxing videos. I can do that, but sorry, I'll just do it right now. It's too exciting. So you can't see. Let me show the camera. There you go. That's all my books. So this is the lovely, lovely copy that I've been waiting for so long now. If it hadn't arrived, I was going to talk about this particular book, which is just like the not for resale one. But luckily, we have this copy. So I am super, super excited. So let me change the screen. I'm using Restream. So it's kind of new to me. And let me do that. No, that's the wrong one. That's also the wrong one. Where are my slides? Give me a moment. So that one is meant to be, hold on, is meant to be my slides. Let me just put my slides up. Please bear with me. You are all really lovely people. And hopefully you give me some grace. Ta-da! Okay. Thank you so much. Hi, Chris. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for your lovely words. I am super excited. So this is my book. This is my book. This is the product of my blood, sweat, and tears. Actually, not so much blood, but definitely sweat and definitely tears. Let me tell you about that. So, thank you for being here with me. So I'm going to talk a little bit, obviously, about the book and about journaling, some key themes in the book, and I will take a Q&A. Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm really excited, you can tell. Okay. Okay, so what is this book about? What is this book about, right? So this book is about this young lady here. Her name is Clem, which is short for Clementine, and she just started her consulting career at a company called Cloudacious, and it may or may not be based on my career, but it talks through some of the challenges that she has come across. So what we're going to be looking at within book is the use of journaling. And even though that might put some people off, I hope not, but journaling, I have found, is a very, very useful way of trying to create some self-awareness, some space in our lives in order to move forward. But I'll go into deeper a little bit. So in this book, it chronicles Clem's growth from a very anxious newcomer to a more confident consultant within 12 months. Okay. Hi, Macarena. I'll answer the questions at the end if you don't mind. So let me just go through this first. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay. Okay. So one of the things that I feel very deeply and very strongly about is the fact that the success of a project is never only on technical competency. It's also on the softer skills, the people skills. And so a lot of the things I talk about and I teach and I coach and I train is around self-development, communication, stakeholder management, self-awareness, and personal growth. And all of this I'm trying to wrap into this book. So who is this book for? Okay, it is for new. It's actually aimed at newer consultants because I wrote this for myself 30 years ago when I got started on the consulting journey. So I feel a bit old. I started in 93, 94 was when I began in the Microsoft space. And then about 2012, I moved over to the Salesforce space. So I've done quite a lot of projects. And I wish someone wrote this book for me. So I had myself in mind, the younger, the less wrinkly, and the more, like less white hair version of me. So why did I write this book? Now, if you're in consulting, or if you're brand new, or you have been around for a while, these two phrases is something that you have heard before, and it is not a fun thing. Basically, it is a lot of consultants, they get hired and then they just get put on a project almost immediately with very, very little ramp up, training, induction, shadowing. And it's quite hard. And you have to be lucky enough to work for an organization that cares about your journey to give you a lot of support on the way. Now, I wrote this book for anyone who is on their own journey, and you may or may not be working in an organization that gives that kind of support. So that's the premise of this particular book. So I got thrown into deep end many, many times. And so I have made many painful mistakes throughout my career. Luckily, I learned from them because I'm still here. If I look at the peers who have joined the consulting life right at the beginning, the same time as I was, many of them are no longer in the industry because it is not an easy one. It is an exciting, rewarding, exhausting one, but it isn't for everyone, especially if you don't have the kind of support that you need to thrive. And that's why I wrote this ebook, right? So this is available for you to download. It's called the 15 Tips for the New Consultant. And this is quite early on in my doodling career, so you can see the evolution of my drawings. But this is where you, as a new person, are expected to start swimming already towards your new project. You see all these people and they are running projects so confidently, and and you're thinking, how do I get there? And all this e-learning modules is kind of not good enough. So I wrote this book. It's actually 15 tips. It's not a big book. So you can grab your copy here. So um, I have made it my mission to help consultants, especially new ones, to thrive in their new career, because I derived so much joy from my own personal journey that I feel that it is a shame um, if we have young, bright, energetic consultants who aren't able to kind of like push through some of the challenges. So that's why I've decided to write this book, not only for the younger me, but also for all of you out there. The other thing that I discovered also is another part of my identity is that I'm a listening volunteer for a charity in the UK called Samaritans. And we are a crisis phone line for people who are feeling emotionally distressed, and maybe where their thoughts are so dark that they can only see one way out of the pain that they are going through. So, on top of being a listening volunteer, I am also a trainer. So, I train the new volunteers in my branch, and as you can imagine, um, it's not an easy thing to step into the volunteering role. So, one of the things that I have realized is that when I get the new volunteers, to journal and be very self reflective about their emotional journey, most of them are able to manage their feelings and move forward in a more healthy way. So, in effect, those who journaled consistently and honestly, asking really painful and difficult questions where necessary, and then digging very deep for the answers. So, not just giving just a surface answer, but asking themselves, why do I feel that way? Why do I think that way? Why do I believe that thing that I believe? And then reflected critically on their own findings, they often find success in their new role. So you can imagine that being a listening volunteer to callers who are feeling suicidal is not an easy thing to do. You need to be able to kind of manage our own selves as well. So those who journal are able to do this better, and which is why I have such a strong belief on the power of journaling. I also journal, but it's free flowing and not so structured. And when I think back about the early part of my career, if I were to be a lot more structured, I think I would have gone a lot further. So not only is it useful for your own self, um, because if your organization, as I mentioned, isn't able to provide you the kind of support and coaching you need to move forward in your professional career, then this is how you learn to coach yourself. So on top of that, right, and the book talks about it quite a bit, but journaling can also be very useful for your professional life. And for example, when negotiating a raise or your the next step in your career, because you have now logged all the things that you've learned, all the challenges that you've overcome, all the things that you've achieved. You can look back and it's documented. Look at all these things, all the reasons why you have to pay me more. So I hope that that will, at the very least, make you more curious about the book so that you can explore it a little bit. So I'm going to just very briefly show you about the digital part. So this book, actually, I should talk a bit more about how it's structured. I didn't put that in. So there are 16 chapters. Each chapter is a little story of a small challenge that Clem has to overcome. So when she first starts, how she feels, and so on. And every chapter will show how she addresses her challenge using the power of reflective questioning. What do I think about this? Why am I worried about this? And journaling it out and being a lot more structured in how she's encountering that. And then I close the chapter with some thoughts and also maybe some of the challenges that I went through, some of the mistakes. When I look back at my mistakes, some of it is funny, some very very cringeworthy as well. But so if you want to read about some of my slightly more cringy past mistakes, get the book. Okay, right. Let me see if I can swap over to the journal. So I've made this journal available for free. 1 minute. I'm just going to try to swap it. There you go. Right. So this journal is free for everyone. There's a QR code at the back of the book. It is a Google sheet that you can take and modify however you like. What is really important is you need to read the very first part, which is the README and the setup instructions. It is very useful to copy and paste the whole thing into a text file, because you think you're at the end, but you're not at the end, because when you scroll down further, there's a lot more instructions here. So if I go right back up, right? So copy everything into a word processor so you can view everything. Now the app script code, which is here, is available. So double click into it and then copy all the code. Okay, so don't just do a right click and do a copy. It doesn't work. So you need to go into it to copy all the code. So full disclaimer, right? I was doing a little bit of vibe coding. So anyone who knows me knows that I don't actually code. So I have asked my very good friend Claude.ai to help me create it, and I kind of like modified it until I was happy. So the IP doesn't belong to me at all, which means that I'm not going to support it. Uh, you don't want me supporting your code. So you can actually grab all of this and then modify it however you like. So the reason why there's a code is because I wanted a spreadsheet that anyone can use, but I also wanted to make it easy for people to use it. So if I, kind of like scroll to the right, so that's the code that you can modify. There's the instructions as to what each of the tabs are. So you've got your project tracker, your goals objective, your mentor feedback. There is a chapter on how to get a mentor who might not be very open to mentoring you, but who's got loads of wisdom that you might want to, learn from. Your skills development, how to organize your journal, and then some tips for effective journaling here. So I've got my dashboard right now. If I move to the right, you can see there's a weekly template, project tracker, all of this. Okay. One of the things that I was a bit fussy about was I didn't want my audience to look, how do I go back here? To a daily template and go click here and do a copy to a new spreadsheet and then have to type in. So that was something that I was a little bit fussy about. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if I wrote a little piece of code, or I got Claude to help me write a piece of code that will do it automatically. So this is what this thing does, right? This the code bit here, this app script code, it does that. Okay, so when you run it correctly, now follow the instructions, because I got a couple of people to test it and they said it's fine, it's past UAT now. If you're having an error, it's probably a user error, maybe. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know very much about coding. But the very nice thing is that once you run the code, you will have this thing called journal tools up here. So if you click on it, you can see that you can create a new daily entry. I'm not going to do that because this is the sheet that everyone's going to copy of. But when you click on that, what's going to happen is going to create a new sheet for you, and it's going to date it. So D for daily, and that would be, it should be today's date. So it's like year, month, day. So I know there's a different date format for the Americans, so you might want to change it slightly differently. That's why I'm giving you the code so you can modify. So this is free for all of you. So I'll post it also for people who haven't bought the book. But when you're doing it with the book, it's a lot better. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about that. Let me swap back to my slide deck. Bear with me, people. Thank you so much. Screen share. I'm using Restream, by the way, and it's so new to me. There you go. Ta-da! I'm back on the screen. This is what I want to show you. So here, grab the screen if you want a copy of this journal. So it's read only. Make sure you copy to your own folder so you can. I just realized that my screen is carrying. I don't know how to swap it. This is bad. How do I maximize? There you go. But you can't see my face anymore. Never mind. You don't need to see my face. Right. So, so there's that. I also have a hard copy version. Let me just. Okay, that's me again. Hi. Right. So I haven't launched it. This is my hard copy version. There you go. I wanted something that is hard copy, and so that you can take it wherever you want and you can write into it. So this one is slightly different because it doesn't have things like your skills skills development. It doesn't have mentor. It doesn't have, sorry, mentor feedback. It doesn't have quite a few other things, because I think that lives better in digital format. What it does have, let me just show you. What it does have is it's got my welcome message there. It's got index that you can write in, but one second. So it's got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's a little box there because I get blank page anxiety. So I thought small box would help people cultivate the habit a bit more. You got Friday, weekend, and a really big doodle scratch pad for you to do whatever you want. And at the bottom there is a little quote from the book, and every week is a different quote. So I love this one actually. And then towards the end, right, there's more sheets for you to write stuff in. And also here, look, how to become a successful Salesforce consultant, 15 tips. So these are the ones, this is actually the ebook that I, so it's a nice gift for a new consultant. So this is about utilization, for example, and then your resource manager and what to do for your first project, etc. Really proud of this. I love this one. I hope people will buy it because it's just kind of nice to have something more tactile. I'm a tactile person, so I love things like that. Right. So key themes from the book. Right. So we just kind of getting started, and you can see Clem. She has imposter syndrome. She's wondering, can I do this? Because it can be quite daunting to think about all the things that you expected to do, right? So chapter 1 talks about the imposter syndrome, how she feels about it, and how she journals her way through it. Then I like this one, the consulting kick-ass boots of stupendousness. You can probably guess some of the inspiration that got. I'm a Kelvin and Hobbes fan. I'm a Far Side fan. And all of these kind of like silliness helps to bring forth the kind of feelings and the kind of message I want to bring across. So I remember when I was first starting out, and you see all these people in suits, they're so confident, they know what they're talking about, and you think, oh my goodness, when am I ever going to get there? Then, in the book, I talk about your consulting identity. I spent a really long time trying to articulate what makes a very good consultant, and it's different frameworks from like McKinsey. I don't think that's one for the tech sector, so I took my experience and I put it together into what I call the 4 pillars of excellence, or 12 principles. I talk about it in more detail in another course that I do, which is the consulting fundamentals. And if you buy the book, there's a QR code for a discount for that course, because you'll know what it's about anyway. So this is where you identify your technical foundation, what you want to excel at from a hard skills point of view, your professional excellence, your strategic thinking, and your leadership skills. So putting all of that together and then defining who you are as a consultant. All of us, especially in the consulting world, always have this knowledge gap, especially with Salesforce. It's ever-growing platform with multiple clouds. It can be overwhelming. And if you're not careful, it can really make you feel like, I can't do this. A lot of us have been there. I have been there multiple times. So how do you manage? How do you structure your approach to logically kind of move forward from there? Difficult conversations with challenging clients. I would like to know how many have never had to have a challenging conversations. It will be great to, just pop it in the comments. I hope I can see both from LinkedIn and YouTube. I think this is also going out on YouTube. I don't know how many is actually watching, but pop in. I don't think any one of us who have lived through adulthood have never had to navigate a challenging conversation. So I have one chapter dedicated just for that. When you have a customer yell at you, and it's not the best feeling in the world. And I can, just thinking about that, I can remember how hot my face would get, and just like everything kind of closing, and you just hearing what that customer is saying to you. And sometimes it's not very nice things. And if you are not able to manage your emotional regulation, you are going to find it quite tough. So, which is why going back to journaling is such a useful activity, because it is a conscious decision, a very tactile. I like writing, very tactile thing to just kind of like articulate it. And it doesn't make the problem go away, but it makes it feel a lot more manageable. And that's what journaling is. It won't solve your problem, but it will help you see through the noise, if that makes sense. The other thing about being a consultant is we have to juggle many, many things. Multitasking is a skill that you need so that you're able to manage your different clients, manage your different stakeholders, manage your team. There's many, many tasks. So these are one of the things that you have to do. And how do you avoid burnout, especially if you're working from home and remote and global? There is no clear line, and it's quite easy to again get overwhelmed. So in this particular chapter, I talk about how to manage that. And poor Clem has a global client, Tokyo and the USA. So I'm based in the UK. So we're smack bang in the middle. We have Tokyo on the really early side, Tokyo, Singapore, Philippines, India, and then there's Europe, and then there's us. And then on this side, we've got our lovely friends, the Americans. I've been in that situation where you've got to kind of manage different time zones. So in this particular chapter, I offer some thoughts on how to manage that, how to manage your work from home situation, draw boundaries, make sure you take time out to look after your mental health, your head and your heart, sorry, so that you can carry on doing the great things that consulting can bring. You can tell that I really enjoyed my career, and I want everyone to have the same experience, which is why I keep talking about managing your self-care so that you don't burn out. Ah, best laid plans. Dealing with uncertainty is another thing that we have to deal with all the time as consultants. So you can plan everything, and all it takes is one person, one client, somebody during discovery who's just messes up your plans completely. I've had training be derailed by a highly emotional person. I have had show and tells also being derailed by key stakeholders that decided that they would share their thoughts and feelings at that point in time, and so on and so forth. So it's how do we deal with things like that? That's one chapter. Now, ethical dilemmas, that may not seem obvious, but it has come through in my career quite a few times. And if you haven't got strong leadership that shows you what the meaning of integrity is, then it's very, very easy to slip into the um, not so ethical side. So I'll give you a quick story. I had somebody I used to work with who became a contractor on a client project, who was opening an implementation for tender. And that ex-colleague accidentally sent me a proposal that our competitor had put forward. Now, it would have been really easy to look at it and think, oh, this is what they're going to propose. Let's undercut them. Let's do a better proposal. But what happened was my COO, when he found out, he just said, don't do that. We're going to win on our own merit. And that was that. And I was really very impressed with his show of leadership. And I thought this is the way that we should all behave. But if he wasn't there to step in, I think I might have been persuaded to open it and think, oh, we can do a better job. Why not? All is fair in love and war, and things like that. When you're young and naive and you don't have people to show you what good looks like, this is what integrity looks like, then you're bound to think, oh, everyone's doing that anyway. Like fudging expenses. Everyone's fudging expenses anyway. Here's a little interesting story from my very early on in my career. So if you go on customer site, you can claim the mileage, the miles that you expend getting to a customer site. Now, I had this is my first job. In my very first career, I had someone, a colleague of mine, who had a car and a motorbike. So obviously, mileage on a motorbike is much, much cheaper. And mileage in the car, you can claim more. And no one's going to check, did you use your motorbike to see the customer, or did you use your car? But he was very scrupulous in saying, I use my bike. I will only claim for what my motorbike used up. And, it's little things like that. Because some other colleagues are saying, well, who's going to know, And plus, the amount that you're going to get isn't going to be enough to buy your coffee. It's very easy to get persuaded when you are amongst people who are doing the not so right things. Anyway, I have this chapter that's dedicated just on the ethical side of things because you may come across it. So if you come across it, I would suggest, asking some really hard questions, trying to understand where your values are and what you stand for so that you can do the right thing. Because if you do the wrong thing, then, or maybe you like you're doing the wrong thing. For me, I've got a horrible, very loud conscience. So if I do a small bad thing, it won't let me sleep. So I value my sleep. That's how I became so pretty. This I all my beauty sleep is what I treasure, and so I am frequently on the right side of the ethical debate. I can't let things go without actually talking about AI. What happens when you use AI? So in one chapter, chapter 11, I think, I got Clem using one of the LLMs to create discovery documents, I believe, and to create some requirements and then some hallucination encrypting, and she got into trouble. What do we do? What did she do? How did she get out of it? And how did she make sure? How did she help the organization make sure that they don't come across this, they don't make the same mistakes again? Because now everyone's using ChatGPT and Claude. And if your organization doesn't have very strict AI governance and policies, you're going to find somebody in your company have put in confidential documents, uploaded confidential documents, and that's gone out and trained the model. So this is real, by the way. So one of the legal firms found out when they were asking one of the LLMs a question, and it returned back a result that included some confidential information that only very few people in their company knew. So, that could be quite catastrophic, especially if you are exposing client data. So really important thing. And that's why I use Claude, by the way. It is they don't pay me for it, but Claude.ai has started their journey being very strong on the data policy and privacy and security arena. So I trust them quite a bit. The book is quite optimistic, by the way. So we've got Clem moving from month 1 to month 12, and I've had a few of my beta readers say, I don't like Clam. She seems to be able to solve all the problems and get through everything and be so awesome. I wanted each chapter to have a little story where she overcomes, so that you can see what good looks like, how I might do things if I came across things in the past. So it is a journey for her, and I want you to, if you buy the book, I hope you read the introduction carefully, because I talk about this, and I talk about why I wrote things this way, and I've narrated it this way. Anyway, this is about her being able to solve from a simple project, simple um, problem to a more complex problem. So I was trying to think, if I were to draw this, how do I draw out the advance that Clem's gone through? So, okay, simple project, I can say, right, a little puzzle that's got 4 pieces with different colors. You can know which fit into which. But a more intricate global project, for example, might be depicted. Can you imagine a puzzle that's all white? How are you going to identify where each piece of the puzzle goes? So anyway, that was what I was trying to bring across in the slide. I'm not sure if I had, but hopefully you're able to understand what I'm trying to convey there. So with all of this, let me just summarize with another 2 more slides. And the first one is how's it started. I've got Clem here, worried about how she's going to manage, and her self-reflection, the reflection in the self-reflection mirror, actually kind of knows all the answers as long as you ask the right questions to keep moving you forward. And in how it's going, this is how she sees herself. She gets a lot more confident. I want to thank those of you who have actually helped me with this particular dilemma, because I had this picture of her with her cloak coming this way and her hair coming this way, and is it a mirror or is it not a mirror? So thank you everyone for an almost unanimous response to this being the final picture. So I really appreciate all of you who have helped me out. Here's a small piece of trivia, which is the cloak that you see her wearing actually appeared in my very first book, which is the Discovery book. And Discovery talks about Rouge, and Rouge is a graduate. So in here, I've already introduced Clem and the whole team. But in this book, Rouge is the graduate, and she asks a lot of questions about Discovery. And so Rouge wanted the cloak of the compelling and confident consultant, which is what Clem is wearing there, along with her kick-ass boots of stupendousness. So there you go. Now I'm here now, and this is where I'm going to open up to the audience. And I kind of don't, I'm not a fan of only seeing text, because I don't get to see faces. But I'm just going to scroll all the way up and look for the questions. Thank you everyone for being so amazing. So I go back to, oh, this is really cool. Macarena, you ask about the tool that I use for the illustrations, and it's actually really easy. I have a phone. I use a Samsung, right? And you can see I've got that. So if you meet me, ask me for stickers. I've got stickers for this particular picture. So this I have a stylus, and that's all I do. I just doodle it. There is a default Samsung app called PenUp, which is really, really simple, which means that there are not very many brushes or too many functions that will confuse me. So my daughter is really into digital art, and she uses amazing stuff like CapCut, and she's like really, really good with the manga and the shading and all of that. And I thought, just give me something simple. So I have a very simple one called PenUp, and I just do that. I sit down and I just do them. Basically, it's just stick figure with emoji, and then I just do some crazy hair. You can tell sometimes one arm's longer than the other, and sometimes they have fingers and they don't. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to bring the message across. I hope that answers your question, Macarena. Thank you for that. Thank you for everyone who has said congratulations to me. Thanks, Eva. Thanks, Mitch. QR code covered up by my video. Which QR code was that? Was it was it for the digital journal one? Let me go back and see. Um, let me try this again. I will have to remember next time. Did it come out? No, it didn't come out. Let me try it one more time. Replace screen share. Yes, it's not coming out. Give me a moment. Let me grab the link, and I think I can put it in the chat. So here's link to the digital journal. Okay. I hope you have been able to see that. Oh, thank you, Tristan. I didn't see your message. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Tristan. Oh. So I'm just looking at all the messages. So lovely. Thank you so much for all your messages. Establishing boundaries. Yes, Mr. Christopher. My dad's on the chat, by the way. Everyone say hi to Lim Koi Heng. That's my dad. He's a pilot and he's written some books as well. Hey, let me give my dad a shout out. Look, this is his book, Life in the Skies. He's a pilot and he's written a couple of books. This is the first one. That's my dad. Look at his smiling face. He's also very young and having his uniform there as well. So, and he inspired me to write. He published his book using traditional publisher. I'm self-publishing using Amazon. So this was a little bit harder. So any questions about flying is here. I had to review it, things like what happens when there's an emergency, on the plane, or the best chapter, the most fun one is, if I was super good at playing flight simulator, could I fly a plane if the captain and the first pilot got knocked out by hijackers or something like that? So you need to go buy this book. Right. Hey, Dad. Hey, Talia. Yes, you now know my beauty secret. It's not just the donuts, by the way. It's my sleep and my conscience as well. There you go. Any other questions? Let's see. Yes, Mitch. It runs in the family. Hey, Ben. Let me show. Is there a section in translating complex business logic to non-technical audience? No. No. But that's an idea for another book, though, don't you think? No, this one specifically is aimed at just the career of a consulting career for Clem. What you're talking about is more business analyst focus. I might think about doing that. But the thing is, there's already so many books on BA, business analysis, and so many frameworks. Is it worth me writing something else, and what value do I add? So I need to kind of think about all of that. So, but any other thoughts, suggestions, bring them on. I'm more than happy. In my mind, I've got a few more to come. So thanks for that question, Benjamin. Yes. Hi, Sarah. Sarah is a wonderful friend that I made. She is the CEO of Nebula Consulting. Also, she wrote my forward. Not only did she write my forward, but she gave some very detailed feedback that was um just amazing. I have to, okay, so I didn't do this. I want to thank all my reviewers. um every single one of them has given me different aspects of how to improve the book. So Sarah gave a more strategic view as to, oh, is this what other partners do, or we don't do things like that, or have you thought about this, which is great. And I have some other eagle-eyed reviewers who caught out spelling mistakes and things where I used cliche a little bit. I am a Malaysian, so my Malaysian English sometimes come across too colloquial, and doesn't sound as correct as if an English person has written stuff. So my husband kind of tells me about that. So I am so really really thankful for. I'm really lucky. I didn't have to pay any one of my reviewers because they're all my friends, and all of them has said, hey, I want to help you read the book, and I want to get my hands on it and also help you make that better. So I feel like one of the luckiest people in the world. So I should have started with a thank you, like the Salesforce, when they do their talk, they're one of the very first slides is thank you. I should have done that. Next one, my next book, I will do that. So yes, Philip, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I want to help people uh, uh, thrive in their consulting career, because I really enjoyed it. I don't think I would have lasted this long if I didn't have very support. I was very lucky that many of the partners that I've worked with had outstanding leadership, so I could see what good looks like. I've also had the privilege of working in some partners where I could see what bad looks like, so I could stay away from things. But and also I have my lovely husband who's such an amazing support, and I think because of all of that, I've managed to last this long without too much damage to my psyche. And I want to make sure that the new younger generation of consultants just um, shortcut or sidestep some of the challenges that I've had to do. So that's why you can kind of like see me. It's really important because mental health is talked about, but rarely does it come on as quickly as in the consulting world, just because it's a more high pressured and dynamic environment. Um, is there any more questions? Let's have a look. What else do I? What advice do I have? Oh, hang on. Let me just do this show thing. What advice do I have for getting leaders at a Salesforce consulting firm to incorporate the book and concepts into their onboarding, ongoing training, programming for consultants? It is a really good question. I wish I had all the answers, because another thing that I believe quite strongly is sometimes the way professional services companies are run, which is on a time and materials basis, sometimes it creates a culture within the organization that they are looking for how quickly can you do this project on time, on budget, even if you have problems, even if you haven't estimated properly, etc. So there's a big culture change that I want to create a movement around, actually. So my belief, which is controversial in some aspects, for small to medium size projects, I think if you are very good at what you do at estimating and you can do discovery very well, it would make more sense to have a fixed price or a flat fee for the project, but it needs to be scoped out well. Obviously, when you have a much larger program of work, this may not work because there's too much uncertainty. But I think there are ways we can do projects with clients in small piecemeal in a more structured way. And if you can structure things that way, you'll find that your team will be more focused on delivering the right solution as opposed to the quickest solution in the shortest amount of time with the least effort, which is a completely different mindset. Because when that happens and you have young and junior consultants who take maybe twice as long, or need a lot more support, then you start draining the resources of the wider team, and the culture can become unintentionally um, unkind. So it's a very big question, Cynthia. I'm making it my mission to keep talking about this, to keep educating partners and the consulting industry as a whole to be kinder. There are many ways you can do this. Is train on board properly, look at your fee structure, look at how you are um, creating the internal culture, and whether you walk your talk or not. There are many organizations who, when you go into induction, you'll say, hey, look at this 12 values that our company hold, or the 6 values, or whatever that is. And almost always, there are very few, less than I can hold in one hand, organizations actually walk the talk. I have seen people who don't behave, people in leadership who don't follow the values, and that's very, very, very sad. So I have a few clients who, if they get me to train this, then I know what their values are. Those are the clients that I tend to refer work to more, because I know that treating the team well, and they're going to do a better job because of that. So, and is there any other questions? I'm going to try to get this slide up, by the way, which is, oh, it's disappeared again. Give me a moment. Oh, I need to learn this restream business. I really want to show this. Almost up time. I am so grateful to all of you for spending your time with me here, so that I can share. It's not coming up. Why is it? Let's have a look. Will it do this? No. So what I wanted to share is my link tree. Here you go. That's my link tree link. Um, and it comes up with a few things, if you can imagine, because right now I'm not doing a really good job of getting it to work properly. But I've disappeared now. I do need some lessons in this. Yes, so on my Linktree page, you can see the courses I talk about, the fundamental course. I've got my consulting discovery with AI masterclass. So that's like 4 weeks of 7 sessions of really intense skills and role play kind of things, where you can practice asking me questions. I'm the slightly grumpy client. And then we do multiple scenarios on process mapping, gathering requirements, using AI, and how to do it properly. So I go back to fundamentals, and then I show you how you can use AI to really 10x your result. My Zenhow membership circle will open again in August, and that's my little network group that meets every other week, and we do kind of like coaching, and we talk about a specific topic, and we dive deeply into a topic every 3 months. So the topic changes. It could be teamwork, it could be emotional intelligence, it could be difficult conversations, it could be advanced skills, advanced communication skills. And one of the things that I teach is how to ask questions and how to read nonverbals, which I'm pretty good at. So how do you read the energy in a room so that you know how to moderate your next step to get the outcome that you need? There's also the link for the 15 tips ebook there, sample chapters from my other books as well. So that's the link tree link there. Is there any other questions from the crowd at all? I'm 5 minutes to time. Um, you can't see my final thank you page. My youngest daughter has drawn a little picture. Um, I don't think you can see. She drew it for my second book. She also drew a little picture for my third book. I try and get my kids to um, do a little doodle for me. So I don't know if you can see this. So this is a picture of a girl eating a donut. So that was the picture in my last slide. I really need to get this restream down. So anyway, with that, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to all my reviewers, to all my audience and my readers. I am on LinkedIn. Connect with me, and I would love to hear what you think. Oh, one more thing, one more thing. If you take a picture and you put a hashtag Salesforce Consulting 101, tag me, tell me what you think of it. And at the end of the month, of July, I will send the best one, the hard copy um, journal. There you go. So thank you again, all of you. I really appreciate all of you from the bottom of my heart. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye.